It's a teen talk skating podcast where I embarrass myself. Hello, and welcome to episode 79 of the Teen Talks Game podcast. My name is Van Gogh. I hope you guys are all doing very, very well. I have to admit, I feel like I'm a very sniffly right now. So if you hear me sniffing a lot and my nose sounds like it's driving me crazy, it's probably because it is. It definitely is. I don't really know what's wrong with my nose. I just had dinner, so maybe that's the issue. I don't know. Does eating ruin your nose? I don't know. Anyway, I did promise to make a trailer, and I kind of forgot last week to make the trailer. So we're gonna make it this week probably, and it's gonna probably be out. I mean, obviously, if you're listening to this episode, then you probably already watched the trailer, or you probably skipped the trailer entirely, or you know. So I don't really know what the trailer's for. It's just for the new people, I guess, who are interested but don't want to commit to a whole episode, I guess. I don't really know. I guess that's the point of a trailer. I don't know. I'm not some movie Steven Spielberg man. I don't know. Anyway, I hope you guys are doing very well. Like a lot of people are starting to go back to school and everything. I am going back to school soon. This is the second to last episode. So next week's episode will be the last episode before I go back to school. And so I'm really trying to put into this time period where I have still some free time, my best episodes that I have been longing to make, or it's been, something I wanted to make for a while now. And this episode is definitely one of them. And so I really do want to get into that. I hope you guys are all doing very well with work and the school and 5 million other things in your lives that are going on. I have 5 million things going on in my life, and it's crazy. But I always will record a podcast episode. But anyway, let's go over to our program of the week, which is a really good one. I always say that every week, though. So, take it for granted. I don't know. Take that with a grain of salt. Is that what they say? I don't know. Is that what they say? Program of the week. Okay, guys, so our program of the week this week is an exhibition program, or from the exhibition gala. I feel like I don't do enough gala programs, even though that's 1/3 of the competition. Obviously, it's not part of the actual competition, but it's 1/3 of the main figure skating event, which is crazy that I don't do more of them. But this is from the Beijing 2022 Olympics. This is Madison Chalk and Evan Bates, their ice dance gala program to the song I Hear a Symphony by Cody Fry. This is the best way I can describe this is wedding dance, which is, I know it's crazy because Chalk and Bates are actually married in real life. They're actually romantic partners and not just ice dance partners. But you have to keep in mind that this was before they even got engaged. Beijing 2022, they got married. No, they got engaged in, I think it was June of 2022, and then they got married just last year, I think, in June or something, or in July or something era. So you have to think this is to me this is a wedding dance before the wedding was even planned, probably, or maybe they did know they were gonna get engaged. I don't know, but it feels like a wedding dance. It's a beautiful song. What I really appreciate about it is that they're kind of acting out the lyrics of the song. In the beginning, the song is kind of talking about seeing somebody stand there, and at first they're standing apart, but then Madison Chalk, when Cody Fry he sings "I saw you standing there" or something something similar to that, she looks over to Evan Bates and he looks over at her. It's perfect, and then oh, there's another lyric. Let me search up the lyric. I literally can't remember anything for the life of me. I watched this program 5 minutes ago. Um, what is it? I hear it when I look at you, I think is what it is. But basically they look more at each other, and you really feel the love. It's not just pretend, that's the thing. It's not just pretend. It's actually romantic love. My favorite part of this is definitely the spin. The dance spin is beautiful. They come up with these very beautiful positions. Madison Chalk, she's in this how do you say, kind of one-handed Bielman position. He's supporting her just so beautifully, and their outfits, it's the white dress and the white shirt and the black pants. For me, it's giving wedding, it's giving formal, it's giving date, it's giving, you know what I mean? It's a great program. Along with, a lot of their clean lines, their extension. I appreciate that both of them have that good extension and carriage across the ice. A lot of this does feel very much classic waltz style or classic ballroom dance style, kind of dance holding each other by two hands and swaying back and forth, that kind of slow, excuse me, I just had dinner, slowness that really translates well across the ice, I feel like, and they really do portray that beautiful story of love really well. starts off very slow, like I said, but then it really does explode with this chorus in so much emotion. The cool lift at the beginning, she is kind of on his shoulder, on his side, but then she kind of transfers over into the second curve lift and like behind his back, like she's standing on his legs but standing up straight behind his back, which is crazy. And there's kind of a little rotational lift moment too. My one of my favorite parts at the end of the program is when he Evan Bates is kind of sliding on the ice and he is kind of dragging her around, but like she's laying down almost. It's like such a cool moment to watch. It's a great program. It's really romantic. There's a couple moments where like they almost kiss, and then there's a moment at the very end when they actually do kiss. It's like they've been teasing us all along. It's a great program. I think it's really romantic. It's fun. It's relaxed, and it really does obviously carry that deep emotion of love that they both have. And so yeah, go check it out after you listen to this episode. Madison Chalk and Evan Bates, their 2022 Beijing Exhibition Gala program to I Hear Symphony by Cody Fry. But now it is time for our main episode. That was your program of the week. Okay, guys, it is time for our main episode, like you heard. I guess you didn't really hear it, but I mean, you did. I mentioned it, right? Yeah. I don't know what I'm talking about half the time, anyway. Anyway, I do want to start with some skating news. There has been more program announcements. I don't know if I want to dedicate a whole episode to, like, what people are skating into next season, because I feel like that is not really, like, the most interesting thing they make an episode about. I guess I have opinions about it, but at the same time, like, I don't really care. But a lot of skaters have been announcing what kind of music they're using next season. Jason Brown announced it. Lena Hendricks has announced it. Some of the ice dance teams like or Hara Pirinen have announced it. But I don't really want to devote too much time to that kind of thing. So I highly recommend checking out Reddit if you haven't. Twitter or X or Blue Sky. I know they have been collecting a lot of program announcements. I believe the website So You Want to Watch Figure Skating is collecting, all the music announcements. There's tons of places you can find it. But anyway, just to let you guys know, I'm not going to be covering the music announcements because I feel like it is not the most interesting thing to make a topic about. But what is interesting to make a topic about is my video essay today. I love doing this video essay format where I analyze a key issue in figure skating, a key topic in figure skating, something that really does relate to the core of this sport and is extremely important to talk about not only now but for the future of this sport. And today's episode, I feel like, does have to do a lot with the future and how this kind of aspect of the sport could really change the sport as we know it, affect how we see it, the perception of it internationally in the US where I live, where, a lot of people are into skating, but a lot of people are not into skating. And so, it has to do with attracting popularity to sport and everything like that. But anyway, today's episode, obviously, before you do that, go check out the other ones as well. I've done ones on like music choice on figure skating and the idea of fame in figure skating and social media in figure skating. And it's like tons of cool, interesting topics I think are really important to recognize and deal with, basically. So go check those out. I have a whole list of them. You can go scroll down and see them. But anyway, I'm so bored. So I want to make one of these video essays, okay? Because somehow I'm watching tennis now. I don't know why I'm into tennis for no reason. I don't know. I'm actually really invested in tennis right now. The WTA is kind of crazy. Like I'm into all the drama. I don't know. It's kind of funny, but yeah, I'm literally waiting for this game to come back to do competition reviews. But for now, a video essay. Okay, let's start with this, okay? If I asked you what the disciplines of figure skating were, and, that would be kind of obvious to you. For most people who, have a good general idea of the sport, they're like, okay, men's singles, women's singles, right? Those are the basic ones. Then you have pairs, and then more recently, I guess, you have ice dance, which is not really recent, but it's the newest one. And you'd be right, yeah, men's singles, women's singles, pairs, and ice dance, which is all correct. Those are the four disciplines of figure skating that are seen at at the Worlds, at the Olympics, that are most known, it's most shown on TV, etc. What if I told you that there is kind of a hidden discipline, not a hidden discipline, but one that definitely is not talked about enough, talked about as much compared to the other four main disciplines, that doesn't get enough media coverage and popularity. And actually, I feel like not a lot of people know what it is at all. Before I was a huge figure skating fan, I had no idea what this was until I became a figure skating fan. And this is very much adjacent to figure skating, as it is pretty much a part of figure skating. But there is a hidden discipline in a sense that is not shown at the Olympics, but some people think it should be, some people think it should not, and that's what we're going to talk about today. Because today we're going to talk about the very big, wonderful world of synchronized skating. That is the name of the discipline that we are talking about today. Synchronized skating, what is it? What are the elements? What are the differences with, like, I guess, regular figure skating? That's very much in air quotes because this is figure skating. At least the main disciplines of figure skating, how it is different, why it is not being included at the Olympics, the arguments why it should be at the Olympics, why it should not be at the Olympics, and my personal thoughts slash future, considerations slash needs slash just, food for thought to think about considering this topic. So yeah, before that, I do want to apologize if there are any people out there who are watching this or listening to this episode and they are in the world of synchronized skating or they're part of a synchronized skating team. I am very, very sorry for all the gross oversimplification in this episode. I really do want to discuss and do synchronized skating justice while also not ranting and going into detail about the sport all at once. I'm more talking about the issues surrounding the sport being in the Olympics and not so much the sport itself and the elements and everything like that. Though that is super amazing. You should go check that out. And so I am going to kind of like gloss over a little bit and do this kind of gross simplification of it. So I do apologize in advance. But my main focus is on how synchronized skating could be at the Olympics, how it could not be at the Olympics, etc. So you might be wondering, after all that explanation and all that ranting that Van Gogh loves to do, what the heck is synchronized skating? And synchronized skating is something we don't see a lot, so this is totally understandable for a lot of people that do not know what synchronized skating is. And synchronized skating is a really unique form of figure skating that is also managed by the International Skating Union, that also manages figure skating, that also does short track speed skating and speed skating. They all do the same things, and this is just synchronized skating is the only one of their sports that is not included in the Olympics. So synchronized skating is a sport where 8 to 20 people compete together as a team on the ice to create complicated shapes and movements and intricacies, and they use their bodies together to create, pretty much art on ice while also showing their technical capabilities. Most of the teams that I've seen compete at the world level, as far as I've counted from the ones I saw on YouTube, most teams with like 16 skaters, which mathematically does kind of make sense, right? 16 is a good number. You can have you can have split your team into 8 or 4 groups of 4 or anything kind of like that. So 16 skaters seems to be kind of the average, the norm for synchronized skating. There are no throws, there's no jumps, and the main focus, obviously, as the name suggests, is on synchronization because this sport is all about looking the same, looking cohesive, looking similar. Every skater needs to be, a cohesive part of the team, if that makes sense. There's usually no, as far as I've seen, there's no skater who does one thing by themselves. No, there's always one other skater, or it's the whole team, or it's 3 other skaters with them doing the same thing as them, if that makes sense. There's no really solo, really main spotlight, la la la. Here, this is a team thing, and if you are not working together as a team, it does seem to appear that your kind of score kind of suffers if you're out of synchronization or out of tune, or I don't even know. It's kind of crazy, but kind of cool. Like figure skating, there's a short program and a free skate. Or I guess the main disciplines of figure skating, there's a short program and a free skate. There are 5 elements in their short program and 8 elements in their free skate, which is kind of less, but we will explain as we get on. So their elements are obviously different. They are not doing, triple toe loops and quad axles everywhere. They're not doing, I don't know, throw triple sow cows. You know what I mean? Their elements are based on the shapes and the movements that they make on the ice. So the basic shapes are the block, which kind of imagine what a block looks like: a circle, the line, and the wheel. So if you can imagine what that looks like, that a group of people forming those shapes. So their lifts are called, or their elements and lifts are called the artistic element, the creative element, the group lift element, the intersection element, the mixed element, the move element, the no hold element, the pair element, the pivoting and linear element, the synchronized spin element, the traveling rotational element, or the twizzle element. And if that was a lot of words, but I will explain. So these are all different moves that you can do. I don't really understand particularly what the requirements are. I don't know if they can just pick like 8 of any of these elements in the free skate, or if there's a particular requirement of how many of each they need to do. I should have done more research on that, I have to admit. But Those are the basic elements that you need to know. Clearly, there's some elements similar to the main figure skating disciplines that we already know. Like we all know a twizzle from ice dance. Obviously, it's skating on one foot. It's kind of like a rotating spin. The pair element to me seems like they're usually doing death spirals is the main thing. So one skater holding another skater out as they skate into a big circle. There's also other elements that are more unique to figures or to synchronized skating, like the intersection. This is an element where like the team splits into two and they're facing each other and they kind of spin or they do something that kind of collides the two groups together, but obviously they don't hit each other. They kind of just pass through, and it's a very intersection because they're literally crashing through at this intersection in the middle of the ice, I guess. Some of the other elements, such as the synchronized spin element, is something kind of similar to like a dance spin and ice dance. If you know that kind of thing where you're spinning, two people are spinning together, and so very much like stuff we already know. Those are the basic technical elements of it. The artistry art I don't even know what I'm saying. The artistry side is very much the same with the same program components. It's composition, I always forget. Composition, skating skills, and interpretation? Is that what it is? I literally always forget what the three components are doing now. But those are the same ones. Again, using men's and women's and pairs and ice dance. The scoring system is the same. You get an element, it has a base value, you add GOE on it. The GOE is assigned from judges from -5 to +5. The short program score plus the free skate score equals your total score, and your total score is what your total score is, and you're hoping to win the competition with the highest score. It is the same exact system. It really is not different at all in terms of scoring. There's also music. The teams pick whatever music they want. It could be classical, it could be from a movie, it could be dramatic, it could be Cirque du Soleil. I don't know. It could be crazy stuff. The costuming is also the same. What I've seen a lot in these programs is that all the skaters have the same costume, or they have costumes that complement each other. For example, they're all wearing black, or they're all wearing like plaid. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like they're all very synchronized in costume as well. So that's kind of like the basic explanation. I'm very sorry if that was too simple, but I do have a program example for to show you guys or to explain to you guys. And this is from the Helsinki Rockettes from Finland. This is their free skate at the 2025 World Synchronized Skating Championships. I'm not going to be kind of specific about this, just things that I noticed in general. For example, they're all forming a very big line and they're skating together in very ice dance like turns. What I mean by that is they're really using connecting edges and sharp edges. So they're really leaning on the ice. If that makes sense. They're not skating on flat blades at all. They are very much leaning on the ice, testing their balance on the ice. Obviously, when they hold each other and they're testing their balance as a group on the ice, I really like their intersection element. They were facing two sides, facing each other, and they twizzled in between each other. That was super cool. They did an element, it was a pair element. They were doing death spirals, but it was almost sliding death spirals where they were moving to the right as the death spirals were going on. That's cool. They had a cool spiral sequence part where there were different types of spirals. I saw people doing Bielman spirals. I saw people doing Kerrigan spirals all at once. Some of them were holding each other while all doing the spiral. There was a moment where they all did a single Lutz at the same time, which is crazy to me. And then they ended at the boards because that is just the most iconic thing you could do. I feel like they ended at the boards all kind of in a line, and kind of squatting down, if that makes sense. But yeah, so, like, that very brief explanation, I think what is something key to know is that some parts of the program, all of them are doing the same thing. Some parts of the program, some of them are splitting off and doing different things in smaller groups. And so there's so much stuff. There's one screen, and I'm focused on 16 different skaters or four different groups or two different groups. Oh, that group is doing something here, but oh, look over here, this group's also doing something here. It really does make you keep your eyes peeled, keep your eyes on, really creates that excitement in that program and really sells that program. Again, lots of really creative, unique things, shapes, engagement, that kind of thing. But there is still a huge commitment to the theme, music, costumes. This program had a kind of darker feel, like almost spy movie feel, or I don't really know what the main theme was, but that was kind of what I got from it, was spy movie or like dark or like, very thriller kind of vibe from it, and I really did enjoy it. Okay, so I want to discuss some of the main differences. Um, differences Aside from the obvious ones, like, yeah, obviously there's 16 people on the ice and not just 2 or 1. Like, that's a very obvious difference between synchronized skating and obviously the regular or the main 4 disciplines of figure skating. So there is obviously a lot more emphasis on synchronicity, but what I'm seeing as well is that there is a huge, and I mean huge, emphasis on the teamwork and the good vibes. You know, when you're a single skater, you don't have a team, you don't have another person with you. And obviously, when you're an ice dancer, you have one other person that you really need to build a strong connection with, and you really need to have that synchronicity with. And that, what was that noise? Is that exploding? Is something exploding? Okay, but you need to really have oh, it's an owl. It's an owl. Man, that scared me. Anyway, but you really need to have that connection and understanding of your other partner when you're in pairs and ice dance to have that trust in them. But here, I think that really does take that and synchronized skating to that different extreme because it is, you know, teamwork and good vibes and cooperation in an environment where there's 15 other people that you have to work with. You have to see probably every day at the rink, and then you go travel competitions together. You cannot, you know, you cannot like be arguing. You got to work together. There's got to be trust in the whole entire team, and so I feel like there is that added emphasis on the teamwork and the good vibes. To me, I also see a lot more skating skills work being done. A very large, you know, focus on the component side of it. It is to me, I think the very most similar thing to it is ice dance. Imagine ice dance just with 16 people and not 2 people. But that is still very bad comparison in my opinion because it is still vastly different from what it actually is, if that makes sense. Synchronized skating is quite unique. I don't think you can really make that fair comparison to just ice dance times 8. That doesn't really make sense to me. But like I said, the skating skills work is really important here. They are literally holding onto each other while going to these really sharp turns, these deep edges, these curves on the ice, and really trying to form that perfect shape on the ice. It's beautiful. It's like poetry. It's very much like poetry, group yoga on the ice, group poetry on the ice. If that makes sense, poetry in motion on the ice with your friends. I don't know, but I very much really trying to create that aesthetic. I feel like because I feel like I don't want to say ugly, but sometimes skaters like in the single, they're skating ugly, if you know what I mean. They're skating very rough. They're trying to get all their jumps done. They're skating very rough and fast, and they're done. They're no. How do I do a rocker? How do I do a bracket? You know, it's very much like rushed. It's very much fast, go. And this is very much slowed down. It's a teamwork thing. It's a everyone's cooperating thing. And of course, yes, you know, it isn't like just skating skills. There's obviously training involved elsewhere for stamina and for, you know, balance and everything. But the skating skills I feel like is a very big major part of this. Gaining and losing speed on the ice, turning, how to, you know, everything. Yeah, you know what I mean. Yeah. Okay, now I want to talk about the format of synchronized skating because it is very unique compared to traditional team sports. Usually, in most team sports, there is at least the ones that compete at the world, you know, world championships and stuff. Most team sports in the world context, there is one team for the whole country. Like there is a Team USA for the World Basketball Championships, and there is a Team Germany for the World Volleyball Championships, things like that. There is one team to represent the whole country. Instead, synchronized skating is very much not like that. There is no team USA, there is no team Germany, there is no team Sweden, there is no team Japan. It is instead, synchro teams are really competing for themselves while also representing their own countries at Worlds. So, for example, the country of Finland did not have a Team Finland this year, and so they had 2 teams representing them from 2 separate, what I assume are clubs or ranks. They had the team of the Helsinki Rockets and the team Unique this year from Finland. USA has a similar case where, again, there is no single team USA for synchronized skating. Rather, they had the team Hayden Nets and the team Skyliners representing them this year. So, like I said, there's no one team Finland, there's no one team USA. You can have multiple teams represent you. And I believe if your country is top 5 of the year in the previous worlds, then you can send to the next world. Otherwise, you just get one. Like, for example, Team Japan does not have just Team Japan. It's called the Jingu Ice Messengers, I believe, which is a cool name. Very sorry if I said that wrong. But they only have one team, but their team is a separate club team, not just Team Japan, if that makes sense. It's not Team Japan. They are representing Japan, but they're not just Team Japan. I hope that made sense. I hope that made sense. One thing really cool and really interesting to note is that the teams are mixed gender. There tends to be a larger majority of women in these teams instead of men, but there are one or two men in these teams. I don't believe there is any gender restrictions in this that require a certain amount of men or a certain amount of women. I believe it's just kind of like whoever's there can do it. And so I did see a couple teams having one or two men in their group, and again, still that man does not get like any special privileges. He's still in the group, in the team, in the synchronicity, so doesn't really get any other advantage, any other special occasion or anything like that. There's also a junior level, much like men, women, pairs, and ice stands. There is a senior level and a junior level. There is a senior level on the synchronized skating circuit, and there's also a junior level. A lot of the teams from the senior level just tend to have a junior level below them. So I have no idea what's a good example. But there's a team junior of the original team and the senior team. That makes sense. They also go to compete around the world. There are less competitions in synchronized skating. I think there's about a handful of them, 10 maybe. There is a challenger series and various, other international competitions. And to top off the end of the season, in April or so, there is a worlds, the World Synchronized Skating Championships, but there's also the junior level, so the World Junior Synchronized Skating Championships. So overall, as you can see, it's pretty similar to figure skating, the format of it competition-wise. But the other nuances about the whole team situation, the no team USA, no team Finland, and the mixed gender teams make it definitely different and definitely intriguing, for sure. And then recently in the top years, just to point this out, the top countries in recent years at least have tended to be Finland. I think Finland kind of has owned the whole economy, if that makes sense, on synchronized skating. They are very, very good at it. The USA and Canada, those are the three countries I saw being kind of the top. But there's also teams, from all around the world, from Australia and from Japan and from Italy and from, all sorts of different countries around the world, and they compete here. They show off their talent. They show off their programs and everything. Okay, and so I know that was kind of a long explanation, and I'm very sorry about that. It's already been like 25 minutes in this episode, and like Van Gogh, the topic was about synchronized skating at the Olympics. I know, I'm sorry. I take a long time to explain things because I'm a little, I'm sorry. But the main question is, why is synchronized skating not at the Olympics? Because to me, it sounds, I think the average person would be like, well, this sounds so cool. This sounds so interesting. Why is it not at the Olympics? This is a cool sport. This is a legit sport, and it sounds so cool. It sounds so interesting. It sounds like tons of fun. I feel like I would really love to watch it, etc. Right? That's what we all think in our heads, and then you question why is it not at the Olympics? And there is a few reasons that I have not entirely researched myself. I did see some answers on the internet for it, but these are kind of the answers to me that are the main ones, in my opinion, why it's probably not represented at the Olympics currently. It might be in the future, but currently, why is not the Olympics? Why is it not at the Olympics? These are the answers, the main ones I kind of have. Um, they have been in figure skating, at least. I don't know if this is in other winter sports, but at least at the Winter Olympics, there has been a quote unquote reducing athletes. I mean that in a weird way, in an air quote way. It's reducing athletes. So, at the 2022 Olympics, there were 30 men in the singles, 30 women in the singles, 20 pairs in the pairs event, and 24 teams in the ice dance. This upcoming Olympics that are going to happen in Italy at 2026, they are only doing 29 men, 29 women, 19 pairs, and 23 ice dance couples. And so they've reduced it by one in each discipline, which is not a lot for sure. It's just one athlete or one couple or pair, but that reduces by, what is that, six people, because you have two from the singles and four from each of the partner disciplines. So that's six people they're reducing. I don't know if this is happening in other sports, but it appears that they're trying to reduce the number of people that are competing, I guess, maybe because of funding, because of, I don't really know what the main idea is. But, connecting this back to synchronized skating, obviously, if we added synchronized skating, this would add a lot of more numbers because if each team is 16 people, and let's say there are 20 teams competing, that's an additional 320 athletes at the Olympics. That's an additional maybe 100 rooms that you have to prepare, tons more money for food, tons more money for energy and space, and that might be it. Why synchronized skating is not being gonna go to the Olympics right now because of resources and funding, and that might be honestly the main biggest reason. Like I say, everything in figure skating is about money. Figure skating is not a rich discipline by any chance. There's simply just not enough viewers and engagement, unfortunately, and popularity to really, fund it and to make it super cool and popular. And the money might be a big thing. I don't know if it's really the International Skating Union's fault or maybe it's the Olympic committee or whatever, their whole fault. But it seems like they're trying to reduce the number of athletes. Yeah, in each like Olympic quota, and so synchronized skating obviously being in there would add a lot more people, and so that's maybe what they're trying to avoid. Um, what I would say also is that there is a very complicated format because of the whole team situation that I mentioned. So, like I said, in the World Basketball Championships, there is one Team USA. In the World Volleyball Championships, there is one Team Germany. But in the World Synchronized Skating Championships, there are two teams from USA, the Hayden Nets and the Skyliners, right? And so if you had to do this in a Olympic situation, the question is how would you do it, right? It's like, would you only accept one team from each country? Would you want each country to create a national team, like basketball, for example? So for Team USA, so in the USA, there's the NBA, and for the Olympic team, they pull men from the NBA, but they don't pull them all. It's not just we're gonna send all the Golden State Warriors to the Olympics. It's not like that. They pull from the Golden State Warriors, they pull from the Lakers, they pull from the Nets. There's not a team. I have no idea. I don't watch basketball clearly. They pull from, all these different teams from around the country. So, maybe instead of just saying, okay, the Hayden Nets are the only ones going to the Olympics for Team USA, they might be like, okay, we're pulling some skaters from the Hayden Nets, we're pulling some skaters from here, we're pulling from skaters from there. But then again, that would be overcomplicating things, I feel like, because what would the qualification process be like? How would they pick which synchronized skaters are going to form their own mini team for Team USA? You know, that would be the main issue. I feel like is that overcomplication of the formatting and the team, and then obviously, okay, like I said with basketball is a game with rules. It's very easy to understand probably, and so you can create any team of men together, and you can send them over to Paris to compete at the Olympics. From the Warriors, from the Lakers, from whatever team you want, they would, they know how to play the game already. But the idea with synchronized skating is that they obviously all know how to skate already, but one, they don't know each other. If you try to do this whole from around all around the country thing, they don't know each other, and they don't have the same coach, and they don't have the same program, right? That's like the main thing for me is that you would have to create a program just for Team USA, just for this one team if you went about it this way. Or I think the other thing to the flip side is that, okay, similar to what they're already doing now for the Worlds, they would have multiple teams for a country. Like, okay, the Hayden Nets and the Skyliners from the US are going to compete at the Olympics. They're both representing Team USA. Maybe that would be a more simplified format because that's kind of already what they're doing at Worlds, right? But again, what would the qualification process be like? Would it be like, okay, the top two teams from nationals are going to go to the Worlds, and hopefully at Worlds they earn us two spots for the Olympics, and then the next year, okay, the top three teams or the top team from nationals is going to go to the Olympics? Or it's very complicated. There is no current infrastructure in place for any of this, and I think that's what makes it difficult because there's no current infrastructure for this. They have to kind of build it up from scratch, make the rules, make the understanding, and in a sport like figure skating where there is not a lot of money, are they really going to be really attentive and wanting to do that and spend money on this infrastructure and qualification process and everything? Is there enough hype to justify it? And all these are really big business adult questions that this teen who talks about skating can probably not understand that well, but um I think that would be the biggest concern for me. That's the biggest concern I see, is that it's a complicated format. How would they send teams? How would they pick what teams? How would they decide how many country or how many spots each country gets, etc. Right? What would the minimum scores be? Would it be similar to the world, similar to this, similar to that? Another thing would be, would it be in the team event? That could be another thing, right? We have the team event now in figure skating since 2014 at the Olympics. Excuse me. And would they be included in a team event? Would synchronized skating be in a team event? Would they contribute points to their team? Would that be a, would that be an advantage or a disadvantage to teams? It's super complicated. Super complicated. But anyway, that's the main thing. Like I said, perhaps there are worries about not enough exposure. There's not enough popularity to sell that well. Obviously, the more people that watch, the more commercials they get watched, the more ads they get bought out, the more money, US figure skating makes, or NBC makes, or the Olympics make. And so I think a concern would be, would people want to go watch synchronized skating? I think it is interesting. I would personally go watch it. But for someone who maybe is, they like to only see one sole athlete, or they only like to see one pair of ice dance. I get why that's maybe not your cup of tea. There's too many things to look at for you. I get that's a valid reason. Again, a lot of people, including myself, I never knew about this sport before. I never knew about the sport before I even got into figure skating. I was like, I never heard of synchronized skating before I got into figure skating as a fan. I knew figure skating and men, women, pairs ice dance, but I did not know at all about the synchronized part. And so that might be a sign right now that maybe there is not enough exposure yet. And again, that might be the fault of the ISU, or, social media or everything. I have seen, Skate Canada does post a lot of synchronized skating content on their main page. It's not just like a side thing. The ISU is trying to get better at posting things and results and everything. And so that might be a huge issue. One thing I also want to mention is that figure skating is a controversial sport. We have had 1,010,000,000,000,000,000 issues in figure skating, and controversies here, scandals, it all breaks out. And would we want to draw more attention to the sport? I don't know. I don't know if the Olympics, then the IOC, that's what they call it, the International Olympic Committee, wants to draw more attention necessarily to figure skating, because there's already so much controversy. It's like, if we add synchronized skating, there's probably going to be a bunch of drama. There's probably be stuff we want to deal with. And like, if you're like me and you're probably like the ISU or the IOC, like, you probably think less drama is better, right? Less problems, less press releases, less court cases, like that might be it too. That might be it too, is that they are concerned about more drama coming about the team selection process and qualification, and whether they're cheating, and whether la 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 la. That might be a huge problem too, in my opinion, and that's valid. I obviously see that. And so another thing I think is that, maybe there is just, that sense that, okay, figure skating is already complicated enough to understand. It's just like, why would we add another discipline and complicate people? That might be a thing. And then the last one I want to talk about is time, because the Olympics are, they don't run on the whole year. They are about 2 weeks, a week, and 5 days. I don't know. The Winter Olympics, at least. The Winter Olympics operate on that like 2 week-ish schedule, and the events are very tight. It's like, okay, today is the men's short program, and tomorrow is the pair short program, and the next day is the women's, and it's also the same day as the pairs final, and that kind of thing. The scheduling might be a thing, because the synchronized skaters also do a short program, and they also do a free program or free skate, and so that obviously requires at least 2 days of the competition schedule, and it's already very tight with the team event and the men and the ice dance and the women and the pairs. That's already 5 events you got to worry about, and adding another event, it's like, where does that fit in this puzzle? How would we accommodate for that? How would we sell tickets for it? How would we keep the arena alive and energetic and not have to keep these skiers until like 3 a.m. in the morning? I think that's a huge, and that's a very valid concern too. Time is the main thing. Money is the main thing. I think money is the main lesson of this section, is that money might be a big concern too. And maybe the ISC, the event coordinators, the event organizers don't really have the money to be like, just justify being like, okay, how much money are we going to make off of this? And unfortunately, that might be the reason why synchronized skating is not very much at the Olympics. And so those are kind of the main reasons I could think of. Let me know if you guys have reasons yourself. And so to summarize that, they're trying to reduce athlete numbers. Apparently, the team formatting is kind of crazy, and I'm not really sure how they would decide a team to go. Maybe there's not enough popularity and exposure to sell the event out that well. Get sold out tickets. Maybe figure skating is already too controversial and too no, 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 no for the IOC and the ISU. Maybe it's difficult to understand. It's a very complicated, sport for sure. It might not be everyone's cup of tea. And then lastly, time with the scheduling of the Olympics, and it's already much predetermined in advance, and it must be a planning headache for a lot of the Olympic organizers. But just those are some of the basic main reasons I kind of thought about, figured out, enlightened myself on, la la la. Okay, and so those are the arguments why figure skating, or no, sorry, why synchronized skating should not be at the Olympics. However, what are people saying? What do I think about why synchronized skating should be at the Olympics? Should be in a main event. They should give medals out. They should give a gold medal, a silver medal, and a bronze medal out for the sport, for that entire team, etc. And I want to say that I'm not the first person to recognize this topic at all. Back, I believe, in the 2010s, the late 2010s, there was a hashtag slash petition on vote.com or whatever going on, probably. I'm sure there was a huge, debate about it. It was called Why Not Synchro. The hashtag was called Why Not Synchro, and it was kind of advocating for why not synchro, why not including synchro at the Olympic Games. And so obviously there is already that precedent for it. It's not like I'm the first person and I'm a genius to recognize it. Like, this is not my idea. I'm not Ben Franklin. I'm not Thomas Edison. I'm sorry. I know you all wanted me to be. But, you know, there's already this precedents set up that people actually do want to see synchronized skating at the Olympics, from the athletes themselves and their coaches, and also the fans, some fans as well. And so there was already this big movement to push for synchronized skating to be at the Olympics. And why should it be at the Olympics, you're asking? Because it's different, it's fun, it's interesting, and it's adding more exposure. Figure skating is already the marquee event of the Winter Olympics. When you think big Winter Olympics, a lot of people, I think, in my opinion, from my experience, they think figure skating because it's the one that's usually the most hyped up. Yes, there's the skiing and the snowboarding and the ice hockey, but when you think about the Winter Olympics, you're like, oh, the cool people who they jump and they spin on the ice and they're throwing each other. And yes, a lot of people do think about figure skating. When you see, for example, the subreddit for figure skating during the Olympics, it's really built up. It's really exploded. A lot of people are on there. A lot of people are discussing. They're like, I really like this skater I'm seeing right now. It is very much the marquee event of the Olympics for the winter side of the Olympics. And so, maybe if we added synchronized skating, it would not be a deficit in money. It would make a huge profit because so many people are already into figure skating. This is just more content for them to watch, and more content means more money, and more money means more rich people. I don't know. That might be it. That might be it, is like adding more popularity. Oh, this is different, this is new, this is something I want to enjoy and want to watch. That might be it. Another argument is probably that there's been sports added at the Summer Olympics recently. Back in 2020, they added climbing, they added surfing, and they added skateboarding. And at this recent Olympics in 2024, they added breakdancing. And so, if you look at this, you're like, they're adding stuff at the summer stuff. Like, they should be adding a little more stuff to the winter side too, and make the winter side cooler, because the Summer Olympics obviously does sell out better, but the Winter Olympics surely could be another huge money making opportunity. And if you add synchronized skating in there and mix jambalaya, I don't know, jambalaya it up, in the figure skating side, you will maybe make some more money. And like, why not? If we have breakdancing and skateboarding, why not synchronized skating? Right? Why not that? And we already have things like synchronized swimming. This is the same thing. It's just on ice. That might be a huge reason too, is that like, why not us? That might be like, why not us too? Another big thing is that we want to be expanding the Olympic sport program. The Olympic movement is a huge thing. The Olympic spirit is a huge thing that's talked about. spreading the idea of athleticism and fitness across the world. Um, Obviously doing that through showing different sports, through showing different athletes competing on behalf of their country in this very honorable and respectable position that they've worked so difficult and worked so hard for. I mean, they worked so hard to get that point, and maybe that there's this idea that if I see synchronized skating on TV, maybe I want to join. Maybe a little kid wants to join too. Maybe hey mom, can I sign up for ice skating lessons? Can I join a synchronized skating team? That might be something too to consider, is that maybe it's really going with the Olympic spirit, the Olympic movement of spreading athleticism and the spirit, and to faster, higher, stronger, everything, right? And that might be it too, trying to spread the spirit further. And it's unique, right? It's unique. People are attracted to unique things. People watch figure skating because it is unique. There is no other sport, in my opinion, like figure skating. People, and then you have the people who are like, oh, I don't really like sports because they all seem the same. It's like you're either throwing the ball or you're kicking the ball or you're running around in circles, like that might be something people like. But then when you see figure skating is the most unique sport on the entire planet. And it's unique. People love unique things, and synchronized skating is super unique. It has something, it has 16 people all competing at once in unison. That's something that not a lot of sports can claim. They're moving across, recreating shapes. They're being artistic and technical all at the same time. It's just it's a new invention. It's an experiment. It's cool. It's different. It's chic. It's cool. It's popular. It will make money. Just saying, it will make money. And so that might be something too. But that's kind of my main reasons for why it should be at the Olympics. So again, having that already set history behind the movement of trying to add it to the Olympics, it's again different, fun, popular already for figure skating. There's other sports being added already, so why not synchronized skating? And then there's also, that thought of expanding the Olympic sport program and the movement, and spreading that uniqueness that people are so attracted to. Okay, the last segment of this is the personal thoughts and opinion section. I think you can probably tell already. I didn't want to be like super biased through this or anything, but you can probably tell that I am an advocate. I would love to see synchronized skating at the Olympics, but I'm also somewhat of a skeptic because of a lot of the reasons I mentioned in the negative side of it, the con side, or the why not side, about the logistics of it. Because I love to dream and I love to think about the future of the sport, but at the same time, I think we do have to be realistic about it. So I'm kind of in that in between. Like, yeah, I would love to see at the Olympics, but I understand that there are drawbacks like money and time and complications with the qualification, and that would be, a huge thing. But my personal thoughts, I definitely think it would be a gradual process of adding synchronized skating to the Olympics. I do not think that we can just, go like, hey, IOC 2030, add it to the Olympics. Thanks, bro. No, we're not, that's not. I don't think that could happen, really. I think have to be a more gradual process. Right now, for example, it's already being seen as separate from the four main figure skating disciplines. Maybe one way to add it gradually and getting up to the Olympic point is to combine synchronized skating with the already existing four disciplines, and have for example, the Grand Prix, there's the Grand Prix at the same time as there's man, women, pairs, ice dance. There's also a synchronized skating competition. Again, time, energy, money, lots of things to consider there. There are exceptions, for example, like the 2023 Challenge Series Finlandia Trophy. That was an event where men, women, pairs, ice dance competed, but there was also a synchronized skating competition happening at the exact same time, at the exact same event, which shows you that it's not impossible. It's already been done. Maybe ask Finland how they do it. They seem to do everything right. Just saying, in Finland. Right now, obviously, it's not integrated at the regular Worlds. At Worlds recently in Boston, it was just, again, men, women, pairs, ice dance. Synchronized skating was held at a different competition in a different country, in Helsinki. In Finland, again, Finland seems to be the key country to talk about. Maybe instead of that, maybe they could have moved it to Boston this year. Maybe they could have figured something out there. I don't know. Should there be a separate or integrated Grand Prix? Should there be a separate or integrated Challenger Series? What other competitions could they add for it, right? Another thing I wanted to note that it's kind of a bit of a tidbit, a little side bit, is that ice dance itself used to not be a discipline at the Olympics. It was a discipline at Worlds, for example, and in different competitions around the world, but it was not added to the Olympics until 1976, I believe, was the year that they added ice dance to the Olympics. But before that, it was not at the Olympics, but it was at figure skating competitions around the world. And so maybe the same thing could happen with synchro in the sense that, okay, first the ISU can start having more competitions and playing, having larger exposure to it with competitions, and then that would appease the gods at the IOC, like, hey, please, IOC, please let synchronized skating become something in the Olympics. That might be it. I do know there has been demonstration sports at the Olympics, so sports that get like this one time test trial, pay back in 30 days kind of thing at the Olympics. And that might be something to consider, is that maybe synchronized skating shows up for one Olympics. They test out how popular it is. They test out the waters, check everything's right. Are the eggs all cracking? Are they still raw? I don't know. I don't really know what that metaphor was. That might be something they consider, the IOC, like letting synchronized skating happen at one Olympics, seeing what the quality is, how do people like it, and then if they like it, and it's making them money, the next Olympics they can do it, and the next one, and the next one. Maybe if it's not, then they're like, okay, let's reconsider it. That might be a thing too, is that they might test it with a demonstration sport first. But I believe they have not done that for a while, so I have no idea. But overall, that's kind of the end of this episode. I do like synchronized skating. That is my main conclusion. And I would love a future in my lifetime where I get to see synchronized skating get its own spotlight, to see these athletes shine in their own right, in their own favorite sport at the Olympics for the very first or second or third or fourth or whatever time. I would love to see it. But obviously, there are many, many logistics to sort through in this modern complicated world of money and politics and so many things that affect the rise of synchronized skating. But anyway, I would love to hear your guys' opinions after I get that sentence out right. I would love to hear your guys' opinions out there about synchronized skating. But that is all for this episode. I am back to school soon, so I'm trying to figure, do you get it? I'm trying to figure out what episodes I want to make. Obviously, I only have 1 week left, so I will decide what I want to make next week, and then I will go back to school. But then, obviously, as I go back to school, more competitions will start and everything, so you know. But I don't know if there will be another video essay next week or what, but who knows. But I hope you guys all enjoyed episode number, what was it, 79 of 18 Talking Podcast. My Zanko. I hope you enjoyed my 50-minute rant about synchronized skating and a debate around it, if it should go to the Olympics or not. And I will see you next week for another video essay. I have no idea. But I really loved that. I love this episode. I think I was really passionate in it. But anyway, thank you so much for listening, and bye bye.